Timberland is one of the world's leading shoe and apparel companies, currently worth almost $2 billion. And while you may own boots or even clothes from Timberland, you've almost certainly heard of the worldwide brand before. But although most people know the brand, very few know about the immigrant from Ukraine who started the company in 1952 with the dream of making the perfect boots. Long before there was Timberland, Nathan Schwartz was born in July 1902 in what is now Odessa, Ukraine. At the time, his home was part of the Russian Empire. His father had a shoemaking business in Ukraine, and although they were financially comfortable, life was challenging for the Jewish family. Russia was experiencing a revolution when Nathan was a young boy, and with a war on the horizon, the Schwartz family needed to make a tough decision. So Nathan's parents immigrated the entire family to the United States just before the First World War, in hopes of a better life for them and their children. They arrived in New York City with little to no money in their pockets, as the journey itself was so expensive. Nathan's father struggled to find work as an immigrant shoemaker, so in order to help the family make ends meet, Nathan got a job when he was only 16 years old at a local shoe manufacturing shop. Throughout the following years, life became harder and harder for the Schwartz family. They were living on next to nothing, and Nathan's elderly parents had little to eat and lived in a tiny apartment. Of course, because it was his father's trade, Nathan knew enough about shoemaking to be successful in his position and bring home enough money for the family, just barely to survive. But the young man wanted more for his family and for his life. Nathan wanted to own his own shoe company instead of being an employee, though it would take several more decades before this dream would become a reality. Nathan saved every penny he could in the hopes of one day owning his own shoe company, and when he was 50 years old, things finally started to change for the ambitious man. He invested everything he had saved over the course of his lifetime to buy only half of an existing shoe company called Abington Shoe Company in Massachusetts. Only 3 years after purchasing half of the company, Nathan became the sole owner and finally made his lifelong dream come true. His shoe manufacturing plant was small but successful, and just as he had learned the trade from his father, Nathan taught his two sons, Herman and Sidney, the business of making shoes. Over the next few years, the Abington Shoe Company began to grow. They were known for making high-quality and reliable shoes, and they were sold around Abington and various other towns in Massachusetts. In fact, production grew so much that soon after buying the company outright, Nathan Schwartz, his sons, and their many employees were making up to 100 pairs of shoes every day. While they were doing well locally, the company was still considered quite small and unknown. The general consensus is that Abington Shoe Company and Nathan Schwartz would have simply continued to be a small family-run New England business if one major event had never happened. Nathan was an innovative designer and was consistently improving his product. But when Nathan was 63 years old, everything changed when he realized that most of the footwear on shelves was not designed for all-weather wear. And he decided that he would try to create a shoe that could handle water, snow, wear and tear, and still keep the wearer's feet comfortable. So in 1965, the world's first waterproof boots hit the market, designed and made by Nathan Schwartz. His innovative idea was made a reality with a unique and new technology that allowed for the sole to be directly connected to the leather part of the shoe. With no connection between the two, the boot was 100% waterproof, the absolute first of its kind. They were immediately successful. The boots flew off the shelves as word of the indestructible boots made their way around Massachusetts and even New England. So many people wanted these famous boots that they needed to pre-order them, as Nathan couldn't make enough to keep shelves stocked. It was at this time that Nathan decided that his new special boots needed a new name that was unique to the product and represented them properly. He chose the name Timberland, a combination of the words timber and land. He also created the logo of an American oak tree to symbolize their durability, as well as the fact that they were American-made and family-run. Although the first customers were men and laborers, the boots soon became popular with women and children as well. The bottom line was simple. Everyone wanted comfortable and durable shoes that would withstand every kind of weather and last a lifetime. By 1973, Nathan was still working on the boots to improve them even more. And while the first few models were only available in black, he decided to change the color to the now famous yellow, which made the boots even more popular than before. Funnily enough, the yellow color wasn't actually chosen on purpose. Nathan was so engaged in the design of the boot that he forgot to change the color before sending the design to be manufactured, and simply picked yellow at the last minute. Although another side of the story suggests that the yellow was more intentional because many of the customers were lumberjacks or laborers. The bright yellow color was a safety feature as opposed to an oversight. Of course, the style and weatherproof nature of the boots were what made them so incredibly popular. But it's important to understand that even though Nathan was experiencing immense success, he never stopped putting in 100% dedication to ensure each and every pair was made to the highest standards. Each pair of boots would be tested several times in order to ensure they were completely waterproof, as the company promised. Although Timberlands were extremely popular in New England, Nathan and his sons knew that in order to become a nationwide and eventually a worldwide success, they needed to get the word out about their impressive boots. So in 1979, Timberland released its first ad campaign. In the commercial, the boots were shown in immensely challenging situations, such as mud and deep water, and it showed that no matter what you put them through, feet would always remain warm and dry in Timberland boots. In fact, one of their slogans was, "If you love Timberlands, treat them as badly as possible." The ad campaign certainly worked, and by the mid-1980s, Timberlands were extremely popular throughout the entire country, and even around the world. And the Schwartz family kept at it. While they continued to sell the now ridiculously famous yellow boots, they also made other shoes and models for the masses. And Timberland became one of the biggest shoe manufacturers on the planet. In 1985, Timberland sold its millionth pair of yellow boots, and Nathan decided it was time to retire. He had seen his dream come true in more ways than he could have ever imagined. When Sidney Schwartz took over as the leader of the Timberland Company in 1986, they were already experiencing wild success in the industry. But Sidney didn't rest on what his father had created. He wanted to push the company even further. So he created a men's and women's clothing line that specialized in travel and adventure gear. Luckily, the line was also a huge success, and it seemed that Sidney's reign was off to a great start. By the next decade, Timberland's sales tripled. And with such intense success, Sidney decided it was once again time to pass off the role of the company's leader to the next generation. His son, Jeffrey, took over officially in 1998. And fortunately, Jeffrey had just as much of an aptitude for shoemaking and business as his father and grandfather. Jeffrey continued to create new and innovative designs and even focused on creating more environmentally sustainable products, which were beloved around the world. Hollywood stars, hip-hop artists, and the wealthy became obsessed with Timberland boots, which of course encouraged the masses even more to purchase a pair for themselves. Timberland also began showing up in political protests for racial equality, which not only encouraged African American artists and celebrities to purchase the shoes, but also people who wanted to support the cause as well. From then on, sales were through the roof. Their clothing and many varieties of shoes were being sold at incredible rates, and Timberland yellow boots were one of the most recognizable shoes on the planet. Jeffrey decided in 2011 to finally sell the company to a corporation as opposed to continuing to pass it down through the Schwartz family. And because Timberlands were so immensely popular, he was able to sell the company for an incredible $2 billion to VF. VF already owned several shoe and apparel companies such as Vans, Lee, Wrangler, Nautica, and North Face. Hence, it had the capacity, money, and ability to take on such a big enterprise. Because of its huge reach, VF was able to expand the Timberland company further than anyone thought possible. And throughout the 2010s, VF was selling more Timberland products than ever before. Today, Timberland yellow boots are the most recognizable shoe in the world. Simple and reliable, Timberland boots are comfortable, waterproof, and will last a lifetime. Essentially, they are completely indestructible. And because of the company's impressive ad campaigns and celebrity endorsements, people want to wear them not only because they are tough as can be, but also because they are considered both cool and fashionable. People of all walks of life have purchased Timberland boots and products. Teenagers, celebrities and musicians, lumberjacks, mothers, young professionals, and even children all love to wear Timberlands. Because Nathan Schwartz passed away right after handing the company off to his son, Sydney, he did not live to see Timberland sweep across the globe and become the most recognized shoe on the market. But luckily, he was able to create the business he dreamed of as a young immigrant boy from Ukraine. And to think that this all started when Nathan learned to make shoes with his father in his workshop in a revolting Russian-occupied Ukraine certainly makes it one of the most interesting and inspiring origin stories of all time. Hungry for another fascinating business story? Click on the following video to hear the crazy story about the poor farmer who invented the world's largest retail company.